Have you ever noticed that the more you chase success, the more distant it feels? The harder you pursue happiness, the more drained you become. We live in a world that glorifies speed, constant progress, and endless achievement, as if your worth depends on how much you do and how fast you do it. But in all this rush, we lose something essential: inner stillness. Many believe that non-stop action is the secret to winning, but it's not about doing more than others. It's about mastering yourself. When your mind is unsettled, you react blindly. But when you're calm, your judgment sharpens and the way forward becomes clearer. The Stoics understood this well. To them, calm wasn't weakness. It was power. It was the anchor that allowed them to stay steady under pressure, make wise choices, and avoid being swept away by emotions or chaos. As you step into this mindset, hold on to one simple idea: calm is the foundation. Let that phrase guide you. Now let's start. First, stop resisting life. Sometimes plans collapse. Sometimes things fall apart through no fault of your own. And in those moments, most people fight back, pushing against reality, demanding control. But that struggle often leads to more pain. Stoic wisdom suggests a better approach. Let go. Accept what's beyond you. When you stop demanding that life unfold your way, you free up the mental space to adapt and respond wisely. Picture a student preparing for a major exam. Everything's ready until the power goes out. His materials vanish. His computer crashes. Now he has a choice: panic and waste precious time, or stay composed and find another way. Maybe he borrows notes, reviews by memory, or focuses on what he already knows. By staying calm, he stays effective. As Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." That's more than a quote. It's a compass. Real strength lies not in controlling the world, but in mastering your reaction to it. When you move with the current instead of fighting it, you conserve energy for the battles that actually matter. Calmness isn't weakness. It's wisdom in action. And it's the quiet force that turns obstacles into openings. Number 1, calm your mind before taking action. Life often moves faster than we're ready for. One harsh word can ignite anger. A sudden change can overwhelm us with anxiety. Challenges come, and before we realize it, we react without thinking. But in the teachings of Stoicism, what matters most isn't the event. It's your response. And you can't choose a wise response if your mind is unsettled. Uncontrolled emotions are the greatest threat to clarity. When you're caught in anger, panic, or fear, your mind becomes murky, like stormy water. You lose sight of what's real and act in ways you later regret. Calmness isn't about not caring. It's about stepping back, making space for clear vision, and grounding yourself in reason. Marcus Aurelius once said, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it." That insight cuts to the heart of Stoic thought. The outside world may shake, but your perception of it is within your control. And that shift, from being controlled by emotion to choosing how you respond, is what true strength looks like. Imagine being in a heated moment with someone you love. They say something that cuts deep. You can lash out and risk long-term damage, or you can pause, breathe, and reflect. That single moment of silence can protect something it took years to build. This is what composure offers: the power to respond deliberately, not instinctively. Stoicism doesn't call for emotional suppression. It asks for awareness. When you feel a surge of anger, give yourself a moment. Just 3 slow breaths. That pause might be all you need for your wiser self to step forward. You can't control everything that happens to you, but you can learn to control how you face it. That ability, not talent, not perfect conditions, is what builds lasting peace and power. And once you master calmness, you're ready for the next Stoic lesson, embracing the natural rhythm of life. There, a deeper kind of freedom begins. Number 2, accept the natural flow of life. Life moves like the ocean, sometimes calm, sometimes chaotic, always shifting. Yet we try to cling to the waves, hoping things will stay the same. But nothing in nature remains still. Everything follows a natural rhythm, even if our personal attachments and expectations blind us to it. Often, we don't see clearly because we're too consumed with holding on to the past or fearing the future. We spend much of our time distracted, lost in screens, chasing stimulation, disconnected from the present. In doing so, we forget where real peace comes from. True contentment doesn't arrive through noise or external rewards. It already exists within us. What's needed is the courage to turn inward and listen. And if we do, we may hear a gentle truth: accept the natural flow of life. This idea sounds simple, but it's one of the hardest practices. Plans collapse. People leave. Circumstances shift without warning. The more we fight change, the more exhausted we feel. Stoicism doesn't ask us to passively surrender. It urges us to understand that change is part of the human experience. As Marcus Aurelius once reflected, what life brings is often exactly what we need, even if we can't yet see it. Sometimes the setbacks we fear hold the most valuable lessons. Take a company launching a product only to face a last-minute glitch. Panic might be the default. But what if the leaders stay calm, communicate honestly, and use the delay to improve? Not only does the outcome improve, but so does the trust they build. Acceptance isn't weakness. It's a conscious decision to stop wasting energy on what we can't change, and instead place that energy where it matters, on our response, our attitude, and our next step. Life will never follow a perfect script, but when we learn to move with its rhythm rather than fight against it, we often find it leads us exactly where we're meant to be. Number 3, reduce expectations to increase action. One of the most damaging habits I've observed is expecting more from others than we do from ourselves. It seems harmless at first, even justified. We believe others should meet a certain standard, behave a certain way, or treat us exactly as we think we deserve. But when we expect perfection from others, while allowing ourselves to fall short, we set ourselves up for a cycle of disappointment and frustration. Many people live this way without even realizing it, constantly judging those around them while quietly excusing their own procrastination, outbursts, or lack of effort. This imbalance quietly erodes both our relationships and our inner peace. It builds a world where we're always let down by someone and rarely satisfied with how things turn out. Stoic philosophy offers a powerful antidote. Shift your focus away from expectation and toward execution. The Stoics didn't believe in waiting around for ideal circumstances or placing emotional weight on how others behave. Instead, they asked a simple question: what is the right action in front of you right now? Do that, and do it with care. When we measure success by praise, quick wins, or external validation, we tie our emotional state to forces we can't control. The Stoics would remind us that happiness built on such unstable ground is doomed to collapse. True calm, the kind that endures, comes from within, from directing our energy toward consistent effort rather than results. Consider the story of James Clear. known today for his best-selling book, Atomic Habits. Long before he became a recognized figure in the world of personal growth, he faced a traumatic head injury as a young athlete. Rather than setting unrealistic recovery goals or chasing recognition, he focused on what he could control, showing up every day, reading, writing, and building a small body of work. He didn't know exactly where it would lead. He just stayed committed to the process. And in doing so, success found him, not because he demanded it, but because he built a foundation strong enough to receive it. This mindset invites a deeper question. How much of our stress comes not from reality, but from our expectations of how reality should be? When you drop the need for life to look a certain way, you free yourself to fully engage with the way it is. That's where calm lives, in the quiet space between intention and surrender. So ask yourself honestly, have your expectations ever created more pain than clarity? Have they ever clouded your ability to act with presence and purpose? If so, you're not alone. But you can change that. Start by noticing where your focus lies. Bring it back to your actions. Because in the end, it's not what others do or don't do that defines your life. It's what you choose to do with the time and clarity you have. If this resonates with you, I'd love to hear your reflections. Has expectation ever led you to frustration or self-discovery? Share your thoughts in the comments. I truly welcome your story. Number 4. The power of silence. Silence has a power that many overlook. Like any form of strength, it can be misused, or it can heal, depending on how we apply it. That's why it draws such varied reactions. For some, silence feels like an uncomfortable emptiness. For others, it's a sanctuary, a moment to breathe, reflect, and reset. In the teachings of Stoicism, silence isn't just the absence of noise. It's a form of discipline, a way to deepen awareness, and a gateway to wiser action. In our fast-paced world, we're conditioned to respond quickly, to speak without pause. But wisdom lies in restraint. Silence, in its most intentional form, is an act of control. It allows us to step back and observe instead of getting swept up in the moment. Holding your tongue doesn't mean you're avoiding the issue. It means you're approaching it with clarity and maturity. Choosing not to speak immediately gives you space to feel your emotions without being ruled by them. It creates a gap between stimulus and response, where real growth happens. When we're triggered by anger, anxiety, or provocation, we're more likely to lash out, say things we regret, or escalate conflict. But when we can stay quiet in those heated moments, we gain an edge over ourselves. And in Stoicism, mastering your own impulses is the truest form of victory. Imagine being a customer service representative, worn out after a difficult day, and a caller comes in angry, throwing insults. Your instinct might be to defend yourself or hang up. But if you pause, stay silent for a beat, and breathe, you regain control. You let them vent, and when it's your turn to speak, you respond calmly. Not because they were right, but because you chose professionalism and dignity over reactivity. The result? You de-escalate the situation, and the person on the other end feels acknowledged. More often than not, that's all they really needed. Silence doesn't mean weakness. It's an act of strength, of knowing when to speak and when to wait. True composure isn't loud. It's rooted in knowing that not every situation requires a verbal response. Sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is maintain your stillness. Stoicism doesn't teach us to shut down emotionally. It teaches us to pause, to listen inwardly, and to act with intention. Every time you choose silence over an emotional reaction, you're building the foundation of self-control. And that, more than clever words, is what leads to lasting strength. Number 5. Accept discomfort and grow from it. We naturally seek comfort, ease, and stability. But the truth is, the most meaningful growth often happens during moments of discomfort. In the philosophy of Stoicism, hardship isn't something to avoid. It's something to engage with deliberately, using it as a mirror to understand ourselves better. The goal isn't to suffer blindly, but to meet challenges with clarity, composure, and the willingness to grow through them. Marcus Aurelius once observed that obstacles aren't simply roadblocks. They are opportunities in disguise. What stands in the way becomes the way, he wrote. He wasn't glorifying struggle for its own sake. He was showing us how to turn resistance into progress. When life throws difficulties at us, our instinct is to retreat, to escape into comfort. But the Stoic path invites us to pause, to stay with the discomfort just long enough to see what it's teaching us. Take, for example, an athlete who loses a major competition. It's tempting to numb the sting of failure, to rush past it without reflection. But real progress begins when they sit with that disappointment. They examine what didn't work, the weak technique, the mental lapse, the shaky strategy, and from there, they rebuild stronger. That process of facing discomfort is what develops resilience and insight, far more than any easy victory ever could. Calmness, according to Stoicism, isn't about suppressing emotion. It's about staying aware, feeling what arises without being consumed by it. In moments of struggle, the key questions aren't "why me?" or "how do I escape this?" but "what can I learn?" and "is this within my control?" That shift in focus turns pain into knowledge and frustration into fuel. Real success is rarely born from smooth paths. It's shaped by how we carry ourselves through the rough ones. When we choose not to run from discomfort, but to learn from it, we uncover the strength to keep moving, grounded and focused. Nothing is wasted, not even failure, if we learn to listen to what it's trying to teach us. So when confusion or disappointment shows up, don't rush to push it aside. Stay present with it, because beneath that discomfort may be the exact insight you need for your next breakthrough. Number 6, practice gratitude. There's a quiet, yet unwavering strength that often goes unnoticed in our fast-moving lives: gratitude. In the noise of the world, when stress builds, expectations suffocate, and fears threaten to paralyze us, gratitude is what brings us back to center. It acts like a compass, gently turning us away from worry and toward what truly matters. In Stoic thought, gratitude isn't a passing mood or something reserved for easy days. It's a deliberate practice, one that reorients the mind, strengthens the soul, and clears away the mental clutter that modern life so often creates. Too often, we become trapped in a cycle of scarcity, feeling that we're not wealthy enough, not accomplished enough, not where we should be. That mental chasing leads to restlessness, even despair. But when we make space for gratitude, something profound happens. Our focus shifts. Instead of being consumed by what's missing, we start to recognize what's already present. We begin to see the quiet blessings woven into the background of our lives. The morning light filtering through the window, the rhythm of a deep breath, the simple comfort of someone who cares. When you take a moment to acknowledge these things, however small, you're no longer chasing happiness on the horizon. You're discovering it in the here and now. That's when calm begins to take root. Not because everything is perfect, but because you finally see the value in what is. Marcus Aurelius captured this beautifully when he advised us not to dream of what we lack, but to take stock of what we have, and to remember that if we lost it, we would miss it more than we can imagine. His wisdom is timeless. It's a reminder that what we hold today, even if ordinary, may one day be what we ache for most. Gratitude, then, is not weakness or naive optimism. It's a shield, a mental and spiritual protection against the chaos of ambition and the pressure of comparison. It helps us remember that we are not empty. We are already living with more than we tend to notice. And for those who believe in something greater, whether you call it God, the universe, or simply life itself, gratitude is more than a mindset. It becomes a form of worship. Each time you say thank you, whether silently or aloud, you're honoring the breath you've been given, the love you've received, and even the hardships that have shaped you. In the quiet of reflection or prayer, we don't just find peace, we reconnect with meaning. And from that connection comes renewed strength. You don't need a dramatic reason to feel grateful. Even a few minutes at the end of a long day, spent noting a handful of small joys, can transform your entire outlook. A kind word from someone unexpected, a brief moment of quiet when you needed it most, or even just the realization that you made it through today. These fragments build a foundation of inner stability that lasts longer than any fleeting success. If you already keep a gratitude practice, or have ever experienced a moment that shifted how you see your life, consider sharing it. Your story might seem ordinary to you, but it could be exactly the message someone else needs. Often, the simple truth is the one that speaks the loudest. Number 7. Reduce noise to focus on the core. Cal Newport, a university professor and author of the book Deep Work, made headlines when he revealed something most people in today's world would consider extreme. He doesn't use social media. No Instagram feed to scroll through. No Facebook updates. No Twitter threads. In a time when being constantly online feels like a requirement for staying relevant, Newport made a deliberate choice to step away. He didn't do this to rebel against technology, but to protect something more valuable: his ability to think deeply, work with intention, and produce high-quality ideas. His decision wasn't about rejecting progress. It was about reclaiming focus in an environment that profits from distraction. And the results speak volumes. By eliminating the constant stream of noise that most of us take for granted, Newport created space, mental, emotional, and creative space, to do work that actually matters. His books are read by millions. His lectures are thoughtful and impactful, and his research continues to contribute meaningfully to his field. All because he chose not to let noise win. This isn't a call to throw away your phone or disappear into a forest. It's a challenge to reassess how much control you truly have over your own attention. Every day, countless forces compete for your focus: notifications, headlines, entertainment, gossip, even the pressure to always be in the know. But the truth is, a scattered mind cannot create, cannot reflect, and certainly cannot thrive. The Stoics, long before the digital age, saw this with remarkable clarity. Marcus Aurelius once reminded himself that external events don't cause distress. It's how we interpret them that creates the real suffering. And more importantly, he believed we always hold the power to choose a different response. Fast forward to now, and the same principle applies. The overwhelming nature of modern life isn't just about noise in the auditory sense. It's the mental clutter, the emotional overload, and the fragmented attention span that results from always being plugged in. You might feel exhausted, not because you've done too much, but because your attention has been stretched thin across too many meaningless fragments. You may be constantly absorbing, but rarely digesting. And that's the danger. You end up busy all the time, but not productive. Connected to everything, but detached from yourself. That's where calmness becomes revolutionary. In a world addicted to speed and stimulation, the ability to slow down and reflect is one of the most valuable assets you can develop. It allows you to strip away what's superficial and engage with what's essential. Calm isn't just the absence of noise. It's the presence of purpose. It gives you the chance to think before acting, to choose your direction rather than being pulled in all directions. Think about it. When your thoughts are still, your decisions are sharper. When your mind is clear, your path becomes visible. This doesn't mean life becomes easy, but it does become intentional. Success stops being a chase and becomes a steady climb, guided by clarity instead of chaos. If you're serious about achieving anything meaningful, you'll have to protect your focus like it's sacred, because it is. Learn to filter out the irrelevant. Learn to say no, not out of defiance, but out of wisdom. Keep your inner world quiet so that you can finally hear what matters most. In a noisy crowd, the one who remains silent doesn't fall behind. They move with deeper purpose. Only when your mind is calm can you clearly see what's worth living for and what you're truly capable of becoming. Number 8. Use the breath as an anchor. In a world that constantly demands our attention and scatters our thoughts, the ability to quiet both the noise outside and the noise within is a rare and powerful skill. When we strip away the distractions and turn inward, we begin to experience something deeper than momentary peace. We access a space of inner steadiness, a calm that doesn't depend on circumstances. But achieving that calm isn't a one-time accomplishment. It's something we must cultivate and return to again and again. And the tool to guide us there isn't complicated or far removed from everyday life. In fact, it's always with us, always within reach. That tool is your breath. Breathing is often overlooked, taken for granted as just the background rhythm of being alive. But in Stoic thought, and in many ancient traditions, the breath represents much more than a bodily function. It symbolizes life itself. It represents the boundary between reaction and choice, chaos and clarity. In moments of emotional turbulence, when your thoughts are racing and the pressure builds, your breath is the most immediate and powerful anchor you have. It's your way back to yourself. The beauty of this lies in its simplicity. The body responds to the breath without needing permission. When you breathe with intention, slowly, deeply, and consciously, you signal to your nervous system that you are safe, that there's no threat. The stress hormones ease. The fight or flight response begins to settle. The mind, once scattered, starts to return to order. This isn't magic. It's biology meeting awareness. It's how we take a reactive moment and transform it into a space for wisdom. Try pausing the next time you feel overwhelmed or emotionally hijacked. Close your eyes if you can. Inhale through your nose for 4 seconds. Hold that breath for 4 more. Then exhale slowly for 6 seconds. Do this for just 2 minutes. You'll notice a shift, not just in how your body feels, but in how your thoughts arrange themselves. The power isn't just in the breathing itself, but in the intention behind it. It's the decision to stop, to reclaim presence, to not let external forces dictate your internal state. Imagine you're walking into a job interview. The room feels tense. The first question catches you completely off guard. Your heart starts pounding. Your throat dries. For a moment, you feel the familiar surge of panic. But instead of letting it take over, you pause. You inhale deeply, then exhale with control. Your heartbeat slows. Your attention sharpens. You meet the interviewer's eyes not with anxiety, but with grounded confidence. That's not luck. That's training. That's someone who knows how to take ownership of their state of mind. In the philosophy of Stoicism, strength is not about suppressing emotion, but about governing it. It's not about pretending the storm isn't there. It's about building the skill to remain centered within it. The breath becomes your compass. And every time you return to it, you're reminding yourself that you are not powerless. You are not at the mercy of every impulse or fear. You are capable of responding, not just reacting. And this is where the deeper journey begins. Because once you've developed the habit of returning to your breath, using it as the foundation of your calm, you begin to see something else. Something even more profound. That true growth, the kind that shapes your character and determines your path, doesn't come all at once. It unfolds with time. Real change, deep clarity, and the strength to handle life's uncertainty emerge slowly. You can't rush them, but you can trust them. The breath teaches you to be patient. It grounds you in the moment so you can trust the process. Just like breath by breath, you return to calm. Step by step, you walk toward your purpose. The wisest people across generations have understood this. Time is not your enemy. It's your ally. So stay with this practice. Let the breath guide you. And when you're ready, we'll explore how trusting the passage of time can lead you to everything you've been seeking. Not through force, but through quiet alignment with what's real and lasting. Number 9, trust the time and the process. Once we've learned how to tune out distractions and narrow our focus to what truly matters, we begin to understand that calmness isn't just a temporary relief. It's a deep, lasting foundation. It's what allows us to keep going without being constantly thrown off course by the emotional waves life inevitably sends our way. When the mind is steady and unshaken, a deeper truth begins to emerge with striking clarity. Real, sustainable success doesn't happen in an instant. It's something that unfolds gradually, shaped by time and nurtured through consistent effort. In today's fast-paced culture, where convenience is king and speed is celebrated, we've been conditioned to expect quick results. From the instant gratification of social media to the promise of overnight transformations, we're encouraged to believe that if something doesn't happen fast, it's not happening at all. This mindset doesn't just breed impatience, it undermines the very process through which meaningful growth occurs. People become frustrated when their lives don't change after a week of effort, when their business doesn't take off in a month, or when inner peace doesn't arrive after a few meditation sessions. But life doesn't bend to urgency. Nature doesn't rush, and neither does real transformation. The truth is, everything of lasting value takes time to build. You cannot rush the process of becoming who you're meant to be. Just like a tree needs seasons to stretch its roots, endure storms, and gradually blossom into its full form, we too need seasons of effort, quiet struggle, and patient refinement. Stoic philosophy never promised quick rewards. What it offers instead is something more enduring, a mindset built on patience, resilience, and the understanding that each small effort contributes to something greater. The Stoics remind us to measure progress not by speed, but by depth. Even when you can't yet see visible change, that doesn't mean nothing is happening. Growth often begins beneath the surface. The thoughts you're reshaping, the habits you're forming, the doubts you're facing head-on. These are the seeds of transformation. But they require time, discipline, and trust. Imagine a beginner learning to play an instrument. If they demand perfection in the first few attempts, they'll quickly feel disheartened and give up. But if they return to the instrument each day, accepting that each flawed note is part of the learning, they'll slowly develop the skill. Improvement comes not through rushing, but through daily, honest practice. The same applies to anything worthwhile. Whether it's mastering a craft, building emotional resilience, or becoming the person you want to be. Trusting the process doesn't mean doing nothing and hoping for the best. It requires consistent action, thoughtful adjustment, and a refusal to quit when results are slow to appear. It means setting goals, working toward them with focus, and not being thrown off course by temporary setbacks. Calmness supports this mindset. It gives you the steadiness to keep going when self-doubt creeps in, or when you're tempted to compare your path to someone else's highlight reel. Seneca once said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." His words echo across centuries with the same urgent truth. So much of our energy is lost in frustration, comparison, and impatience, when it could be used to build, slowly and meaningfully, towards something real. Picture someone tending a garden. Each day they water the soil, pull the weeds, protect the sprouts from harm. They don't scream at the seeds to grow faster. They understand the rhythm of the earth. They do their part and trust nature to do the rest. That is what it means to live with calm confidence, to give your best to today, knowing that tomorrow will come in its own time and its own way. Success in this view is not a finish line to be sprinted toward. It's a quiet unfolding, moment by moment, day by day. And when you learn to trust the timing of your life, to work patiently without demanding instant reward, you discover a form of strength that rush can never provide. This is the essence of calm endurance, not just staying the course, but growing stronger with each slow and deliberate step forward. You've just explored 10 powerful insights about calmness, a vital principle in Stoic philosophy. From learning to manage emotions to understanding what's within your control, each idea brings you closer to clarity, resilience, and true progress. Stoicism isn't about shutting off your feelings. It's about grounding yourself, thinking clearly, and navigating life's challenges with steady focus. Calmness isn't some rare gift. It's a discipline anyone can build, and every day you practice it, you move closer to living with purpose on your own terms. Now, think about your own life. How do you stay composed when things go off track? Has keeping your cool ever led to a better outcome? Share your experience in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. And if this video helped you in any way, consider liking, subscribing, and hitting the bell so you don't miss future content. There's another powerful lesson waiting for you in the next video. Go check it out.